Hi, it's Penny here, and today we're going to be going through all the book releases coming out in 2023 that I am excited for. Let me start out with the books that have already come out, because admittedly it is already halfway through February when I'm filming this, but I don't want to forget about the books that have already come out because I've only read a couple of them. And actually the first one I'm going to talk about was released on the 27th of December 2022, but I'm counting it for 2023 because there was just no way that I was going to be reading a book in those last few days of the year. So for me, I count it as a 2023 release, and that is 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson. This is the 5th book in the Truly Devious series, which is all about this girl named Stevie who really wants to become a detective. The first 3 books are a trilogy where she is trying to solve a murder at her school, but while she's there, some other strange murders start happening. The 4th book, she solved a crime at a summer camp. The 5th book, I think she's going to visit her boyfriend in the UK. I don't know what the crime's going to be, but I just really enjoy spending time with Stevie, so I'm looking forward to another one of those stories. Then on the 10th of January, we had Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel to Ninth House, following Alex Stern, who is part of the secret magical societies at Yale. Specifically, she works for the Ninth House, whose responsibility is to police all the other magical houses and make sure that they're using the magic safely. But as well, Alex has a bit of a traumatic past, and her mentor, Darlington, has gone missing. Now, my expectation was that this would be a trilogy at least, but I also heard someone the other day say that it was only a duology, or they thought it was only a duology. So let me know if you know whether Hellbent felt like it could be an ending. Like, is this just a duology? Anyway, I'm not sure. Then also on the 10th of January, we had Lost in the Moment and Found by Seanan McGuire. This is the, I don't know, I'm going to say the 8th book in the Wayward Children series, which is all about these children who found magical doors and gone through them to find magical lands, but then for whatever reason they've found themselves back in our stupid human world having to do stupid human things, and they're really struggling. So there is this home for wayward children where they can go and be with other children who've had the same experience. Every second story is just the story of one of these children finding their worlds, which I think this one is going to be one of those. I think it's this girl who goes to this world of lost and found objects. And while this series has been a little bit up and down for me, I'm hoping this will be one that I really love. Then on the 17th of January, we have one that I have already read, and that is Magic Tides by Ilona Andrews. This is a new novella in the Kate Daniels series, which is a series that I really love. We're following this mercenary named Kate Daniels who has a secret past, and as well it's a world that's very dangerous because magic has started to come back into the world, but it's coming back in waves, so sometimes magic works, sometimes technology works, and it's very uncertain when that change is going to happen. And as well, just a lot of the magic that's come back into the world is very dangerous. In Magic Tides, Kate is trying to retire and just live a low-profile life with her family, but things don't go to plan. I really loved it. I have actually already filmed a spoiler-free review if you want to check that out. I tried very hard to convince you that you should read the Kate Daniels series if you haven't read it, so if you haven't read it, please watch that video. It's one of my most favorite series, and I'm so glad we got a new novella. So those are all the January releases, except one, which I'll talk about later. But then there's a little bit of a time skip, and we get into March. So on the 14th of March, we've got Assassin of Reality by Marina and Sergey Dyachenko. So this is the sequel to Vita Nostra. I don't know that it's a direct sequel, but either way, I'm excited that it's coming out. I think actually it was released a while ago, but we're finally getting an English translation because this was originally written by Ukrainians. But Vita Nostra was so strange. We're following this girl who kind of gets tricked into going to this school, and the activities and lessons they're giving them at the school are so strange and have very lasting impacts on her life. But I just absolutely loved the strangeness of it all. So I'm very excited for that one. Then on the 28th of March, we've got Tombs, a new Junji Ito collection. Junji Ito is an amazing horror manga creator, and I don't really know what the focus of this collection will be, but I just love how dark and creepy his stories are, so I'm looking forward to this one. Even though I think I've still got a few other Junji Itos that I need to read, but I do eventually want to have read all of his stuff. Then on the 18th of April, we've got For the First Time Again by Sylvain Neuvel. This is actually the 3rd and final book in his latest trilogy. I think the first book was called A History of What Comes Next. I actually never got to that, even though it was one of my anticipated reads in 2021. But now that the whole trilogy is out, I think even though I've been trying to avoid starting new series, it might be time to read this series. Because I did really love Sylvain Neuvel's Themis Files books, and I also do really like time travel, which I think is the focus of this series. So really, why have I not read this trilogy? Then on the 25th of April, we've got A Sleight of Shadows. This is the sequel to An Unkindness of Magicians. So when An Unkindness of Magicians came out, everyone thought it was just going to be a standalone story about these magicians having a competition to see which magician's house would be in charge of the magician world. But then there is this girl named Sydney who's trying to use this competition to change the power structures within this world. I really loved it, and when I heard that there was going to be a sequel, I was super excited, even though I have no idea where the story could go next. But then it has been a couple of years since that was initially announced. I know the author has been struggling a bit just with COVID and the whole disaster that our world is having. But I'm pretty sure that this April date seems like it's going to be a real release date that actually happens. So I'm excited for that. Then, I know a lot of these have been continuations of series, but the next one on the 6th of June is The Grimoire of Grave Fates, which is not a series continuation. This is instead a short story collection where I believe it's 18 authors writing the stories from the perspective of 18 different students at this school where they are trying to solve a murder. There's definitely magic involved, and I don't really know how the story is going to work, but I'm excited to read it. And yes, I'm going to say I'm excited to read every one of these books. It's just the way it works when you're doing an anticipated releases video, okay? Then on the 1st of August, we have The Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the third, and I assume the final book in the Between Heaven and Earth series. I've always said it's a trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. So this is inspired by pre-Columbian American mythology. We've got a blind man who has been made into a god. We've got a woman who is some kind of mermaid type person, kind of. And we've also got this priestess who has prophecies of the future. It's a lot of politics and friction between the different clans going on, and also just like battles between the gods. There's a lot of potential in the world, so I'm excited for the final book in the trilogy. I'm just going to keep saying it's the final book in the trilogy because really, I want Rebecca Roanhorse to be going back to the Six World series and continuing that. Now, I recently read an article that said she wouldn't be continuing that series for the foreseeable future, which didn't make me very happy, but I like to imagine that if she could finish this series off, then maybe things will happen and somehow she could go back to the Six World series. That's what I want to happen. I don't know how to make it happen, but I'm just going to believe that that's what's going to happen because otherwise I'm going to be too sad about the Six World series. Anyway, then on the 16th of August, we've got One of Us is Back by Karen M. McManus. This is the third book in the One of Us series. I don't know if there's going to be more. Generally following these teens as they get involved in some kind of murder investigation. Generally, teen thrillers aren't the kind of books that I would think I would like, but they do kind of take me back to like my point thriller kinds of days, and I really enjoyed the first two books in the series, so I'm hoping that I'll like this third one. It was actually due to come out in January, but I see the date is August now, so I will wait somewhat impatiently. Then after this, the dates get somewhat vague, so I'm expecting in September that we will get another volume of Monstress by Marjorie and Takeda. This is a graphic novel series with just beautiful art. I don't always follow the plot that well. It's a lot of like warring factions and demons and half animal people and cats with magical powers. And I do like the plot. As I said, don't always follow it. At some point I'm going to do a reread and really try to pay attention. But at the moment I'm just there for the art and the vibes, and I'm hoping we'll get another volume of that. Also, I've written down October, but I don't know where I got that date from. But I think we'll be getting the first novel in Victoria Schwab's new Threads of Power series. So this is a spin-off series from the Darker Shades of Magic series that she's been working on for a while. So in that world, there are different versions of London. Grey London, which is our London, Red London, which has a lot of magic, White London, which is kind of dead from having too much magic, and then Black London, which is locked off. And there are certain people who are able to go between those different Londons. So I don't really know what the spin-off series is going to do, but I am excited to read it. So hopefully October. Hopefully my list is not completely made up. Then the next one on my list, I'm not entirely sure that I'm actually anticipating I think I'm hopeful for it. So that is Defiant by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 4th book in the Skyward series, where we're following this girl named Spencer. Her people live on this planet, and anytime they try to leave, these aliens attack them. So they're raised to be very tough. Unfortunately, Spencer's father ran away during a fight, and as a result, the whole family's reputation is ruined, and she's really battling against that. To be honest, by the end of the 3rd book, things have changed so much, and I didn't really like the 3rd book. However, some of the ideas about the world and what's happening are so interesting that I feel like even if I don't like Defiant, that it'll still be worth reading for the ideas, I guess. I don't know. I think it's the end of the series too, but I might have made that up. Maybe there's 5 books. I don't know. Anyway, I guess this will come out and I guess I'll read it. And hopefully it'll be worth it. Then as well, I did back the Kickstarter for Brandon Sanderson's 4 secret project novels. So we've already had Tress of the Emerald Sea, which I do have a review for already, even though I haven't yet received the book. It was meant to be released in January. I think some people have got it, but mine is not yet on my way to me. So again, I'm waiting somewhat impatiently. But I think they'll probably do a better job with the future books in terms of getting them out on time. Hopefully. So I've pretty much already talked about all the books I know are coming out in 2023. Then I always just like to touch on some rumours, some maybes at the end. Firstly, the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. For a long time, people have been saying the 4th book would be coming out this year. It has never happened, as I have always expected it wouldn't. But this year, Scott Lynch has said that he's written a novella. I think it's kind of a prequel novella though, so not really the 4th book. But anyway, he's written a novella in that world and is going to be coming out. I did see on Amazon the release date is the 31st of December 2023. So I think it's pretty unlikely that we'll get it this year, but you never know. It does sound like it's written, so I guess it's possible. Then of course we've got Winds of Winter by George R.R. Martin, continuation of the Song of Ice and Fire series, or the Game of Thrones series as a lot of people will know it. Will this actually be coming out? I don't know. I feel like it's been being promised ever since I read Game of Thrones, so I don't have a lot of hopes. Another one I don't have a lot of hopes for is Doors of Stone by Patrick Rothfuss. Again, it's been being promised for many years. I haven't really seen much from Patrick Rothfuss lately, so I like to hope that means that he's getting his life together and he's spending a lot of time writing, but who knows. And then my last one that I'm always hoping for is Capitol's Tower by Melanie Rawn. This is the 3rd and final book of a trilogy that I think now it must be like 18 years that we've been waiting for it. Melanie Rawn had some difficulties, but she did say a few years back she was going to try to get back to this book, so I live in hope. That's all you can do at this point. Anyway, those are all the book releases that I'm excited for this year. Let me know if you're excited for any of them as well, or also let me know any other books that you're excited about or ones you think I should be excited about. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.